Recording has started.
All right. Okay. So first thing is the password screen, since the first thing we enter is doctor mode. For now, the password is password. Once that's entered, the results are displayed just as before. I put in some more videos from the DC just to pad out the results a little bit more. And
you're in alphabetical order.
Yeah,
well.
they're in alphabetical order now. Let's see. Oh, the thing we talked about last time. So I also put in a total time just to indicate how much the playlist is going to take to play, and obviously take it away, and it'll subtract the time. And now with the title, if you click it, it'll display on the bottom, and that's the title of the individual item on the playlist. So once you hit play, there's a delay. There's a 5-second delay before it plays, so the doctor can hand it to the patient. I included the controls here just for demoing purposes. So it'll play, and then I can skip over as if everything has been watched, but this won't be available. And once it's done, it'll jump to the next one. Once the entire video is done, or the entire playlist is done, or in the middle of the playlist, it'll fade the what has already been played. We exit, it'll prompt for a password, which can be canceled out if it's hit accidentally. The original first prompt cannot be canceled out since it is the initial prompt. Stylize the buttons a little bit. Move the next button since we're going to not allow, since it's in patient mode and they can't skip forward. It'd be cheating if they scrub forward to the way to the end and skip the whole video.
That's why the controls won't be available, so they can't just move randomly throughout the video.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have a complication in terms of full screen mode. Because without the controls you can't exit full screen mode? Is that what it was, Mike?
Yeah, because typically at least on a computer, if you full screen, you can just press escape, but there is no escape. So yeah, I couldn't see. At least that we could look into a way of escaping full screen with some sort of shake.
We might be able to do it with a pinch gesture too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some alternative to that.
Yeah.
We definitely want it in full screen mode.
Yeah. We definitely want that option. But not the control that these controls give. Let's see. Oh, so let's say the videos and everything was watched. Once everything's done, it'll prompt for the password to exit patient mode. Same password. And we'll give a report. Stylized a little bit better, but it'll give a report of the playlists that was played and for how long. And yeah.
And the password that you enter at last to exit the playlist, is it the password for the patient?
No, it's a password for the doctor.
Provider?
Yeah.
It goes from doctor mode, patient mode, back automatically to doctor mode, but in between the two, it requires a password.
Got it. Thanks.
Because at this point, when the doctor creates the playlist, he's in control, and then when he hits play, there's a delay for him to hand it to the patient. And now that the patient's in the driver's seat, the patient can pause, can go back to the previous one. He wants to rewatch it. He cannot reorder. He cannot, click on anything. He can click exit, but he's prompted with a password. And that's just to allow the doctor to exit at any time.
So the mode, essentially the role is built into the functionality, so that it's at least in these two roles, in terms of what you're able to do, and then having the password security for the doctor mode. So Todd is working on the admin mode, and I know that he still has, or the admin component, I should call it, and I think he still has a few questions regarding that in terms of just needing some things clarified in terms of the functions that specifically it's a little bit more technical than I know specifically right now. So when he joins us, he can get that clarified. But in terms of this being able to, I think the last hangout we had that I watched, in terms of being able to see what our total runtime was an important thing to know. How much video was being handed off, but also what we did is in that playlist is instead of repeating the runtime for each thumbnail on the left, you have the runtime in the description. So Mike, if you go back to the doctor mode, so that so that we can see the list of videos.
Sorry.
Are you able to do that? Could you not?
Yeah, no, hold on. I refreshed the wrong page. I actually refreshed the Hangout. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, just as wrong password is typed in, it'll just clear it out.
So Mike also worked a little bit on, and I don't know if you did the final thing with the extra div, but we worked on this, the way this displays in terms of dropping open to see. We also added these stripes, very faint stripes. I don't know if you can see that or not. Just before it was all white, and now every other one is just slightly gray, just to sort of help visually separate each item. But if you open up and say Jane, or either one of the Janes, is there more data there, or no? Is it all? We have descriptions. What do we have for Hadithi? Do we not have the themes in there? We just have the descriptions. So tiny on my screen.
Yeah, the themes are in there as tags, I believe, and they're not being shown.
But we could add the themes so that when it drops down, you see the themes. Because if you go back to a CarePlus one, what do we have in terms of a CarePlus video? Don't some of them have additional content in there? I mean, that's where additional content would appear.
Yeah,
the descriptions. The descriptions on the CarePlus videos are minimal. There's not much there, so there could definitely be some that could be fleshed out considerably and have additional content appear in there.
A moment. I believe I hid that in testing and forgot to. Yeah. So I commented out the the skills discussed because I was testing out the spacing between, but it would.
Yeah, I knew we had stuff in there before.
And that every other line also applies to the playlist, just to.
Oh, the tinted, yeah, right, exactly. So I think this total time where we see the duration of the videos, there'll be something like that in the admin section, but what we want to do is, instead of time, it's going to relate to size. So what we want the admin section to be able to do is detect the available space on a device, and as videos are being selected, you see how much space you're taking up on that device, so that you don't try to load far more videos than you have room for, and then it runs into an error. But we'll get to that when Todd gets here. Is there anything else we want to mention about this, Mike?
Sure, there was something. Cover the delay. Obviously, these controls won't be here.
What do we? Any thoughts about the delay? My thing about adding the delay was it played immediately before, and there's no duration, there's no interval there to pass it to the patient without them missing the first few seconds, because we do want that function of playing to be in the control of the provider, not the patient. So it has to then be passed to the patient. So I think 5 seconds is probably ample. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Is everybody muted? Everybody but you and I are muted, Mike? Is anyone there?
Yes, we are muted.
Okay.
So I wonder where we can see the tags that attached to the media files.
The tags
In the code, you
yes.
mean?
For example, like each media file, it can have multiple tags to associate with that. Let's say that HIV adherence for adults, let's say that we can add a tag as like adherence, and then we can add tag for HIV, we can add one as adult, just for easy searching. Especially it's likely that the library for all these media files is going to be like more than hundreds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So originally, in discussions at the beginning of this project, was that somebody at Ampath would be responsible for creating those tags specifically for each video.
Yes.
Yeah. So what we've done is I think we have some tags that we've created that aren't. When you do the search, the keyword search, it's obviously searching the description that's there, in addition to tagged. Mike, did you put in like tags for some of these videos in terms of like
there are tags that don't display but do affect the filter. They're not exactly super detailed. I tried to add tags that at least for the Hadisi videos, that I know are in there and would be discussed. Child, mother, things like that in the tag section, guardian, and that's covered by this. So if I type in child, it's filtered even though it's not displayed on the actual video results, but they can be displayed.
So I would make the assumption that the tags should be added under the administrative mode, and then for the provider to log in, the provider will be able to search based on the tags in addition to the file names. Let's say that there might be a bunch of videos related to the PMTCT program, but then the file name not necessary to include PMTCT keyword, but we can tag those files with PMTCT so that it's just easy to search.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of, I'm trying to think back to our original conversations about the that we had a few months ago regarding where those tags live. Do those tags and their technical considerations for where they ultimately live? And I think, meaning, is this done on the server at Ampath, or is it done where it seems to me that it has to be so that it's consistent across all devices? If you just have an admin mode on a device, you can't just be tagging it on an admin mode on a device. You need it consistent across all media and all devices. So somehow it had those tags have to go from the computer at Ampath with the media to the device. And I might, and me not being a programmer, I might be misspeaking, but then in terms of the logic that I see, that it has to flow that way. And obviously, the media itself cannot contain the tags. So how that works, I'm not exactly. That's a question for Todd.
Hey, Win, do you have any comment to add, Win?
Pardon me?
No, I'm asking Win, just to
okay.
make sure that we are following what he has in mind as well.
Okay.
Win, you are mute.
Yeah. I think we need to have the tag information displayed as well here, because we want to tagging is what we use to narrow down available videos. I think in the UI we should have a section where we can narrow down videos using tag information. I think that's what Ada was trying to say.
Oh, so in addition to just a keyword search, you have something where you can build on that. So you could say Hadithi, and then on another line you could say female, and then you would see all the Hadithi female ones that are related to females. Is that what you're saying? So it's like there's a word for that, and I can't think of what that is right now. But a more complex search feature like that, filtering feature like that.
I can show you an example of what we have in Mozilla, I think. Give me a few seconds.
Like, while we're waiting for Win to set up, so then when you look at this screen saying that, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth video media file say Joyce, let's say that, it's just the name of a story about Joyce. But then there's no way we can, the provider will remember, oh, Joyce is the tag, the name for the tag. So let's say that this story about Joyce probably is like a female HIV story or a hearing story, something like that. So if we have the capability of adding the tags here, this video file of Joyce would be showing up in the search result. Yeah, the same like for the next one, because they have so many stories about the patient that they could be categorized under different categories. That's why we would like to use the tagging system just for easy filtering out the research the search results.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure.
So basically, just displaying the tags.
Yes.
To indicate
mm-hmm.
what the video.
Mhm.
That's about.
And I also want to introduce one of our team members, Thomas Mwangi. He is a medical doctor, also trained in health informatics. He is currently in Eldoret. He is taking lead in the CMS project, which part of this CarePlus is going to be used under that as well. Tom, do you want to say a few words? Hey, Thomas?
I'm here. This Thomas is here.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
In Indianapolis.
I mean, Mwangi. Maybe it's easier. I'm not sure if he can hear me, but he's going to he's the lead now on the content management system, and the CarePlus is going to be part of that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we cannot hear you for some reason, Tom.
So I think this is what we were trying to say with tagging. So as you can see in the screen, we have this small tag information at the bottom right corner, ODK, HTML, CDM. So this is how we categorize our form. And then for this case, we have a mechanism to disable some tags. So if we don't want to see ODK, for example, we'll just, for example, we just want to see ODK form. We'll check the ODK, and then as you can see, the form displayed here will be just the ODK form.
Okay. All right.
And then add more tags, you will see forms matching those tag information.
So to try to translate that over to what we're doing, would it be things like CarePlus and Hadithi, or would it be more like disease, HIV and diabetes? I mean, what makes sense in terms of what we're trying to do? Because obviously those tags don't work for us, but or is it a combination of trying to figure out trying to categorize it in terms of where the video originated, like Hadithi versus CarePlus, as well as specific, medical conditions? What is our, because we don't want too many tags, right? It could get a little out of control.
I think in this use case, the tag will be just, I think, a simple text. So it will be assigned by administrators. So for example, they can tag this a video as, I don't know, string A, string B, string C, and then when you want to, so you'll give that option to filter out video based on this random string that they assign to the video.
Okay, so at this point we're talking about the building in the functionality, building in that feature, and not worried about what that feature is at this particular time, in terms of its content, in terms of whatever the tag itself might be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I understand. Okay. Is that something? So if we go back to our interface, is that something you want to see without having to open up the way it opens right now, the way it expands? You already see those tags, like the interface you just showed, where you already see. I like the way that it does that sort of color-coded little square. That's nice. I guess it makes sense to to be able to see that without having to click and expand that div.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay. But so I hope. I was almost getting ahead of myself. I think we should just wait till Todd's here until we discuss this terms of this the admin component a little bit more. Are there any other concerns or features or feedback you have on the rest of the functionality or interface?
I think it's on the right track. Only the tagging parts that it'll be nice to show the just like similar to what Win showed you, to show the tags along with the media file.
Yeah. But in terms of so I guess conversation about, I know that the topic of roles was coming up, and I sort of see, I don't necessarily know that I don't know that it's necessary that someone has to log in with a specific role. It's more built into the functionality of the software itself. I think that the admin section, which Todd is doing, would launch first and then determine what videos are on the device, and then that resulting JSON file is picked up by this app. So whether those two apps are actually combined or not, I don't know, but they're sort of speaking to one another, and then you're in provider mode and patient mode, as you've seen here. So I don't know that there's any sort of necessity for going in and declaring a role, so to speak, within the interface. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? So Win and Ada, you're both on mute. I don't know if you're talking or not.
I'm sorry, it got spaced out on my connection. What was the question?
So I was talking about roles in terms of the conversation we had, and Martin was emailing about roles a week or two ago. And I was saying that to my thinking, the roles are sort of built into the way the software actually functions, rather than having to necessarily specify a role. That when you're in the admin section of the application and determining what videos are added or subtracted to the device, once that is complete, then you're in provider mode, and in the provider mode, as we saw, is passed off to patient mode. So I don't know that there's, to me, that aspect of role is built within the software structure itself, rather than having to go in and declare a role for the user and then enter a certain type of interface. And I'm just wondering if, well, one, if my point makes sense, and two, if that's something you agree with.
I think if this CarePlus as a standalone, it probably need to have the role to build in, so that because so that it can include the role and privilege-based different options. But if eventually it's going to integrate with UCIMA and the CMS project, and then by then we can have a different workflow in terms of defining the role and privileges.
Defining the role and what?
And privilege, like what privilege you're assigned with.
So I don't quite know if I'm following what you're saying in terms of
So, as my understanding that the first pass of this CarePlus application is going to be used by itself. So it needs to have some kind of role base.
That was never my understanding that it's going to be used by itself.
I thought that's the first version. And then the next version, I mean, if you guys can incorporate with OSIMA or the CMS applications, and then the role can be defined in the other application. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're hoping for is that we will build this module, which is in HTML and Java, and that at one point in our conversation, it's been left up. It's not been determined who's integrating it into Musima. That was something that was left. It was tabled for a later discussion. But yeah, that our goal is to have this module being able to interface. That's always been my assumption, that it's going to interface with Musima. I didn't know that it was going to be sort of standalone. So, but still, with it, even if it is standalone, I think those roles are defined, unless I'm just trying to think of the logic in terms of, unless you wanted to be able to switch roles between admin and provider without it. To me, it was just going to, when you were done loading or deleting videos, you would exit that admin mode and it would automatically go into provider mode.
I think that would be sufficient
Okay.
for the first version.
Okay.
What you propose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Todd is done with that, we'll see. We'll get a sense of how those two, the admin mode will relate to the provider mode. What the nature of that passing off of the JSON file and stuff how that will function.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna text Todd and see if he's almost done.
Sure. And while we're waiting for Todd, I wonder if your team can move your code into our GitHub repository.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Is it the Musima?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think that would be helpful for us just to have all the codes in one centralized place, and also we can have some of team members from the other side, Kenny's side, that to help us with some of the testing and get some initial feedback. What the next version should be.
Okay. Did you want us to include videos with that?
I think that would be, yes. I think that would be really helpful to include that.
Yeah, it does. It's, I believe, almost total. It's almost a gigabyte with all the videos.
How many gigabytes?
One.
One. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if GitHub had some sort of limit.
When do you know?
Sorry, I was on mute. No, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'll try it, and we'll just see.
Sure. If not, we can have those video set up in a Dropbox so that people can still use it for testing.
Yeah.
So we're also, once we get the phone, and we'll be modifying, down-resing some of these videos to be able to play on the phone. So once we get that, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe if we have that tomorrow, which is Wednesday, maybe by the following Friday. Unfortunately, I have surgery this Thursday, so I'm going to be a little incapacitated for a while. School starts on Monday, and so maybe by next Friday, I will be decent enough shape. At least we could see how the week goes on to see how I could be in communication in terms of how the porting over to the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we wanted,
I just wanted to give you a warning. Before you see the phone, just don't get fainted. It's a pretty low-end phone that it's not that cool. So just don't get surprised when you get it.
Okay.
It'll make your surgery.
I'll have very low expectations for the phone.
Yeah, try to give you very low expectations so that you don't get surprises.
Okay.
Yeah.
We try not to develop on anything that's not cool.
Yeah, I don't know. We're breaking our own rules here.
So your surgery would not become that horrible when you see this phone. So.
Okay. So I texted Todd, but I haven't heard from him. But he's in his office right around the corner. I could go over and disturb him and see if he's ready. At least in theory, he is. Let me do that real quick, just so we can not be sitting around all that long. So I'll be right back.
Oh, thanks. Hey Tom, just wonder how you feel about what you see so far. If you like it, or do you have any suggestions?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to get myself conversant, I think, with the big picture. But I can see how it will be fitting into Mozilla. I'm also seeing that it could be useful. You know, I'm in the Android Google for Good project. It may this kind of project. I think that's why actually Martin asked me to come over, and I wasn't aware about it. I was asked to just come and listen in and hopefully see the demo. Yeah, I think so far so good. I'll be a more regular bystander in the calls.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
Well, I can still hear that Todd is on a Skype call in his office, so he's not done yet.
Maybe we can have Todd just to communicate through email, and then he can ask us his questions for clarifications. Okay,
I was going to say that, or we could reconvene in a few minutes if you wanted to, if that's convenient. It might be better for a conversation. Get to the root of the issues a little faster.
Yeah. So we have another call at 10 o'clock. So do you think he might make it before then?
10 o'clock being, is that in 10 o'clock my time, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He thought he was going to be done at 9:30, so there's a strong possibility, I would think. I could try to reach you if he becomes available.
Okay. Yeah, you can just ping me through Skype.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, Tom.
Say that again.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom, Thomas, and Mike.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope I get it right.
So Ada, we will contact you if if he becomes free. Otherwise, we'll handle it through email.
Sure. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.